What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Leads Suck podcast, where we come at you every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time with a lot of information about leads, marketing channels, especially related to real estate. And then also every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we bring an extra special guest. Guys, my name is Dominic Felix.
Luis Rodriguez.
This is Sam.
And today, I don't even know how to introduce the guy. I'm probably going to let him introduce himself. We have Mike McKay, local real estate investor, wholesaler here in Jacksonville, making extremely big moves, known him for many years. Mike, super glad to have you on, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you. If you don't mind, Mike, there may be one or two people that don't know who you are.
Sure.
So can you go ahead and please give yourself an introduction to the people watching?
Sure. I've been in real estate for a while, but I moved down to Jacksonville about 3.5 years ago. I had an Airbnb business before that. A lot of that was in Jersey City, which when COVID came, got pretty much decimated.
Yep.
So after winding that down, I came here. I had to do a 1031 exchange at the time, and I couldn't find anything that was a good deal on the market. Although looking back, I could have just bought anything and been okay. But hindsight's 2020. So I started trying to source my own inventory. I didn't make the deadline for the 1031, but I missed it by a few days. But I was like, well, I think there's a real business here. So needed money at the time, obviously after the Airbnb thing, and dove into it. And right now my goal for this year is really building out my sales team. Before this year, I was doing a lot of the sales myself. Now I've got 2 sales reps, looking for a third.
Nice.
If anyone's good at sales watching, hit me up.
There you go, man. There you go. So when you started sourcing leads on your own, did you do it knowing that you're going into wholesaling?
No.
Or seller? Okay.
I was doing it to find a property for a 1031 exchange. I sold one up in Connecticut, a rental. And
how did you even think to go direct to homeowners?
I think I had heard, I listened to real estate podcasts because I was doing other real estate stuff. I just wasn't doing any direct to seller stuff. And, I came and I looked at stuff on the market, looked at a few things. I didn't like what I was seeing. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, why not just give it a shot?
What'd you end up buying? It was a single family house?
Single family house. I didn't make it in time for the deadline though. But the first one was a single family house in Argyle Forest.
Were you owning the Airbnbs up north, or were you doing that what do they call that? Arbitrage.
Arbitrage. But the other property I saw was just a single family college rental.
There you go.
Nice. So Mike, you've been in the industry for a while now. You're really well known, especially here in the local market. And I'm sure you know where I'm coming from when I ask this, but why do all the leads suck? Right? Because let's be honest, wholesaling, people want to come into wholesaling because especially maybe if they're flippers, they want to cut out the wholesale fee and they want to get a better discount direct, but it's really not for everyone. And there's a lot of people who come in and out of this industry, most by far, in my personal opinion, of which who do not make it, right?
Yeah.
So you can understand why the perception is all leads suck. They suck. The leads suck. The lead sources suck. Why is it like that? Why is that the case?
So I've done a lot of sales training over the years, and one of the trainers I trained with had a saying there are no bad prospects, only bad salespeople.
Ooh, okay.
That's the truth that no one wants to hear.
Yeah. Okay.
The first thing you have to do is actually call the leads you get. Sounds crazy. A lot of people get a lot of leads coming in.
They don't come with a contract.
I wish if you let me figure out how to do that, let me know, I'll buy. But no, they don't. So if you actually got to call them, and you got to call more than once.
Okay.
And you got to have a process. And a lot of people think that, making 20 calls a day is a lot. And it's nothing. I mean, you need to put in the effort. You need to talk to the people. You need to have a system to figure out who's qualified, who's not qualified, who's worth your time to run an appointment with if you're doing in person like we do. And you got to work through it. So yeah, it's not the leads, it's the salesperson.
It's funny you say that because when we first started this whole AI thing, we had a client who signed up with us. We sent him a lead, and then the next day he hit us up and he's like, "Hey, his leads suck." And we're like, "What do you mean?" Like, we look into the system, we're checking everything out.
Yeah.
He texted this guy one time, never got a response, and it's a shitty lead. It's like, dude, did you call him? No. You texted him once and that was it? And you texted him 4 hours after he inquired? Like,
There you go.
Yeah, I guess it's the lead's fault that this isn't working out, you know?
Yeah.
So we have a couple of insurance clients, right? So one of our insurance clients, what they do is they get digital marketing leads in,
Uh-huh.
and they get them in volume, 50 to 70 a day,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
By far more than 50% just aren't picking up the phone,
Sure. Yeah.
right? They're just not picking up, no matter what I mean, there are strategies, right, that you know about, right? The
Yeah.
double tap strategy, maybe give them a text in advance, and the system helps with trying to do a lot of that for them. But like more than 50% are not picking up the
Yep.
phone. And it can be perceived that those leads are just shit leads.
Mhm.
But the cost is only like $4 to $5 because they get them at wholesale because they're buying such big volume,
Mm.
and the leads are shared. Right.
Ah.
So what happens is they're sending one company the lead,
Yeah.
but they're sending it to 10 to 20 other companies too throughout the nation.
Yeah.
Right. So now that their strategy is, all right, let's buy it for a really low cost, cover a lot of ground, and pick up the low hanging fruit inside of there,
Sure.
and make sense of the marketing costs.
Yeah. Sure.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. But I mean, it can be easily perceived that those leads suck because you can get 20, 30, 40 in a row that you might not pick up in a row.
Yep.
Hit the list.
How insane is that?
Do you think people think that leads suck because everybody's looking for a magic way of like a secret way that nobody else is doing? And then once they hit the reality, then they're like, well, I don't think this works, or I don't think this business is going to work.
I mean, I think people are always looking for an easy, quick fix button.
Yep.
I also think it's a lot harder to look at yourself and say, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I need to do more sales training. The other thing I see a lot of times with newer salespeople is they get hung up on in the first 30 seconds of a call.
Yep.
I'll have my guys shadow me, and I mean, it is rare that I get hung up on in the first 30 seconds of a call. There's just tactics you can use and learn that people don't know you're a salesperson when they call.
Give us one example.
You want to role play it?
Sure.
Okay, so you're a seller, whatever. I'll just make up a lead source that comes in. I don't know. Hi, Sam.
Hey, who's this?
It's just Mike. I had a note here on my desk from.
Why are you calling me?
Yeah, I had this note here from Dom. I guess you spoke with him around 11:45, and he asked me to give you a call
Yeah.
just to go over what your home might be worth if you ever decided to move on from it in the future.
Yeah. I mean, what do you guys want though? You want to make an offer?
Well, I'm not sure what I could offer you yet. I was calling first to see if you're even interested
I'm
in
just a
selling
little
that
busy
property.
right now, man.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I just had a couple minutes before my next appointment, though. Is now a terrible time?
Now is not a good time, but you can call me back tomorrow.
Okay. Can I ask you one question to see if it even makes sense for me to call you back tomorrow?
What is it?
Were you like actively looking to sell the property or not really?
I mean, honestly, yes. I'm divorcing my wife, so I gotta sell it.
Okay. So what I can do is I can pull up my calendar. I run a pretty busy schedule, so I can see when you might be able to give me a call tomorrow. That way you don't have to chase me down.
All right, well, I'm walking into a meeting, but call me tomorrow.
Okay. I can't just call you at a random time though.
Call me at 1 o'clock.
Okay. And if I call you at 1 and you don't answer, should I assume that you're no longer interested?
Yes.
Okay. So are you not interested at all even now?
I'm interested, but call me at 1.
Okay.
All
I
right.
will talk to you at 1 tomorrow.
All right, bye.
So what did I do there in the first part
That
of the
was
call?
amazing,
That was a
man.
minute 35.
That was
A
great.
minute
So I didn't
25.
hang up on you in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, and you were kind of harder than most people.
He was for sure.
I think one of the biggest things
It's
that I
pace.
can pinpoint is you slowed down the
Yeah,
tone.
the
Mm.
pace.
So even though I was trying to give you fast responses and rush you off the phone, you didn't give in.
Yeah.
Because most people try to match whatever they're getting.
Yeah.
And then it just creates friction.
Yeah.
So I think you did a great job by just reducing the tonality and then trying to calm me down and lure me into an actual conversation versus just giving me fast responses.
Yep.
I love the ending too, which was like, if I call you back and you don't answer, should I assume that you're not interested? And he says, yes. You're like, so are you not interested?
Yeah.
Like, that's great. I never even thought to ask him that. Like,
I'm just trying to decide right now if you're disqualified so I don't
Right.
waste my time tomorrow. Because you're like, 1 call tomorrow, no big deal. It's like, It is a big deal when I got 80 of those over the last week.
Yep.
But yeah, I always tell my guys, I say, does the president of the United States, does he talk slow or fast?
He talks very slow right now.
Why does oh, okay. Any president of the United States, not just. But why? Why can the president of the United States talk slow?
To keep your attention. So you're listening.
Well,
You're paying,
everybody's
it's
like when
a
he
listener.
speak, when the president's speaking, everybody has to listen. Just like
Right.
Warren
Yeah.
Buffett
Right.
Everyone has to listen.
or Charlie Munger
He has
when
no
he speaks.
reason to speed up for anyone because everyone runs on his time because he has the ultimate status, right? So
Right.
creating status as a salesperson is going to get you more respect from prospects. And by going slow in that first 10 seconds of the call, most people can only hold the telemarketer sales resistance for like 10 seconds, 5 or 10 seconds. So you don't even know what I'm calling about. I could be calling from the doctor. I could be calling from CVS, telling your prescription's ready to be refilled until more than 10 seconds into the call.
Yeah.
I don't say this is Mike McKay with Unload My Home. We can buy your house.
Very good.
I'm trying to create that reaction where you ever been in a situation where you're walking down the street, someone sees you, and they're so excited to see you, and you have no freaking idea who they are, but you play along
But
anyway.
you're curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
But yeah, you
curious.
don't want to seem like a jerk, so you play
Yeah.
along. You're like, just Mike, is this the guy I met yesterday, a week
You're
ago?
like, shit.
All I need to do is get past the 10 seconds, and you can't hold that guard up anymore.
Right. So once you overcome the guard, then it's easy. And even if they just say, no, I'm not selling or whatever,
Great.
emotionally, you basically won the conversation.
Yeah, I won because now I know in under a minute that they're not a prospect for me, and I can go talk to someone who actually
You don't have
is.
to waste your time anymore.
I don't have to dial them 20 more times. I don't have to follow up with them.
It's
Unless
so
they're
funny.
serious.
We've had a similar conversation about this, and the fact that because in sales you get probably 90 no's and then
10
2 to
yeses.
3 yeses, and then the rest is maybes.
Yeah.
Right. So when you get so many no's, you get emotionally discouraged that
Mhm.
I'm doing something wrong, or this sucks, or this job sucks, and then you're not keeping track of the numbers.
Yeah.
So, like for example, when I call, every time I get a no, I'm happy because hey, I'm like one step closer to
Yeah.
a yes. So I'm
Yeah.
actually looking for no's
Yep.
because the more no's I get, the more I know that I'm closer to a yes.
Yep.
So, but that was amazing because most salespeople, they crumble because they can't overcome that first 10-second pressure
Yep.
to actually get into a real conversation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your salespeople right now, are you training them? Do you have like trainings every day?
Every single day.
Really?
We do training 5 days a week.
Hmm.
So it's different topic every week.
Yeah.
Do you guys role play?
Oh,
I'm
for the
assuming?
whole
yeah.
week.
Yeah, I'll pick a theme for like kind of the beginning of the week.
Oh, nice.
And then we'll kind of role play around that.
Yeah.
Right. If we're
Yeah.
just talking about what, the upfront contractors I call the beginning of the call, right? That might be what we work on for that week, or at least 3 days out of the week.
Okay.
So maybe we'll role play that. One day we'll talk about it. One day we'll role play it. The next day, maybe one person will shadow another person to give them feedback on it.
Shadow meaning they listen to the calls, or?
No, shadow meaning they do it live. I got a speakerphone.
Okay.
Get on the phone, start calling people. We're all going to rip you apart as you do it.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to wait till the call's over.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
Wow.
that's how you learn.
And so mostly it's focused on sales training or real estate education?
Oh, I don't worry about educating them on real estate.
Just sales.
Sales and mindset.
Sales and mindset.
So one day a week's mindset, and
Wow.
the rest is sales. Because why does an acquisition person need to know that much about real estate besides how to comp?
Right.
Because I don't want to. I mean,
They don't even necessarily need to know.
they
how to
don't, but
comp.
I don't want to do it for them.
Yeah.
I want to make them independent enough to make decisions.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, if they ask me questions about real estate, am I happy to talk to them about it? Absolutely. I mean, they can talk to me, but that's not what the training's for.
It's a very controversial thought because you're basically saying, which I agree with completely, real estate is not about real estate. It's about the situation that you have in hand. It's
Yep.
about the motivation of the other party. It's about negotiating. It's about actually making a sale
Yeah.
versus knowing anything about how to put two 2x4s together
Yeah.
or put a roof on a house.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with houses.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with people's situations.
Yep.
So
100%.
it's totally, totally agreeable, because when you're on the phone and you're dealing with a seller, the last thing they want to talk to you about if they're in a bad situation is their house.
Right.
100%.
They just want to solve their problem. And their problems most of the time is not the house.
Yeah.
It's somebody living in the house, or it's somebody that died, or it's somebody that is in a hospital, or they're moving somewhere because they got a job, but it has nothing to do with the actual house.
I'll give you something else that I tell my team, which is you read a lot of these real estate scripts, and within the first, I don't know, minute and a half, 2 minutes of the call, they're asking about the condition of the property.
Oh yeah.
We don't talk about the condition of the property at all. Because once you tell someone tells you the condition of the property, they say, now you've got all the information you need.
Oh yeah.
Do your research, give me a call back.
Yeah.
I avoid the topic.
It's funny because in your script, you have condition as the first thing.
We have
Yeah.
condition as rapport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
what
mean,
do you
everyone's
do?
got a different perspective, right?
Sure.
But
Yeah.
Sure. So what do you do?
what do I do?
Instead of the condition, what do
instead
you
of
get
condition.
into in the beginning?
So we do that initial part just to kind of break their pattern. You notice I said I just had a couple minutes before my next appointment.
Yeah.
Is now a bad time. Trying to show them that I don't have all the time. I'm not going to keep you on the phone for an hour because I also have to go.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a lot of people I need to see. And then I jump into what I call, from some sales training I did, the upfront contract, which is really just setting expectations.
Mhm.
Say this first time I talk with someone, it's pretty basic. It's really more for us just to understand a little bit more about the place, maybe what you have going on with it. You know, Sam, with the way the market's been, I just can't buy every single house in. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And then if it does seem like something we might be able to buy, and we set up a time to actually come and, you know, see the property just to see if we could do any good for you. I'm setting that frame in the beginning that they're not going to get an offer on that call because my model is in-person appointments.
Right.
It would be different if my model was phone appointments,
Right.
but I like to go in person to the houses.
Of course.
And then from there, I'm just diving into what I call pain, but it's motivation. You know, they all have told me something about the place already. Well, I usually say, can you tell me about your relationship with the property? They say, oh, we've been here 20 years. I go, wow, 20 years is a long time. What's got you thinking about moving on from it like now, though? And then boom, we're off to the races.
So you dive into pain first. You
Yeah.
build a little bit of rapport. You to overcome the guard. Then you set expectations
Like pushes
of
them
who
away.
you are.
Yeah.
Kind of push them away a
Yeah.
little bit, and then you jump into why are they selling?
Why
Yeah.
are they selling? And
Yeah.
what they've tried to do to sell.
Now,
Why are they
Meanwhile,
opposed?
it was a cold call,
right.
right?
It's not the initial cold call. It's a live transfer,
Okay.
or, you know, if it wasn't live transferred, it was over, or it might be a direct mail lead.
Okay. Because
So it's not totally cold.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was gonna say it almost sounds like you're kind of like pushing them away, but then having them bring you all of
It's their
the
initial call,
information.
right?
Yeah.
It's your
yeah.
initial sales call.
Acquisition's initial call,
Yeah.
but not the initial call that they've got
They
from
get,
us.
yeah.
Unless it was like a website lead, then it would be the initial
You guys
call.
are cold calling a good amount?
Yeah, we got like 4 cold callers. So
Nice.
we used to have a lot more, but it had
It's
10 at one
fun to
point.
keep track of them, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, that wasn't even the issue. We were just pulverizing the data too much, and there's about 45,000 properties I want to hit in Jacksonville, and 10 was just way too much.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were
Okay.
cannibalizing their own
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
fault, not their fault. But
Yep.
so,
Are you selective about what you send direct mail out to?
kind of. We like mobile homes, so we send it to any mobile homes that are, I think we do 1990 and later, and then I think 10 years of ownership or something like that.
Okay.
And then we hit the top investor zip codes.
Mhm.
I think there's an ownership linked on there too. And then we looked kind of back on some data and said who statistically sells to investors. And we've made some lists around that. They're like combo lists.
Yep.
I don't know them off the top of my head, but it's, for example, if you're just vacant, maybe you're not that likely to sell to an investor. But if you're vacant and you've got a code violation, you're much more likely. So we'd mail you if you had both, but not if you had one.
It's called list
Stacking.
stacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it a little more scientifically though, by not just assuming who would sell to an investor, but by looking backwards
At the
Right.
data.
and saying
Yeah.
who sold.
Right.
And there
When
were some
you
weird ones in there.
when you did that, was it like, all right, so you blanketed more territory in the beginning, then you had data to go off of, and then you were able to narrow it down, like you said, scientific, taking a data-proven approach.
Yeah.
So does that mean you're spending less but getting the same, or maybe even doing better?
So yeah, we have the whole tax roll for all the 4 counties in there, and then for years our VAs were uploading lists of like foreclosures, code, like all the
Yep.
normal stuff.
Yep.
And we had ownership length and everything in REISIF, which was the database.
Yep.
And then
RASF will stack too, right?
yeah, it'll stack
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So then we did that thing where we look backwards. Does it reduce our cost per deal? I wish I had the numbers for you on that. I just
Mhm.
really don't.
Or just number of deals, is it the same, but with less mail outreach?
I don't know, because I never did mass mailing to like everyone.
Right.
I looked at who sold to other investors, but doesn't necessarily mean I marketed to them,
I
if that
gotcha.
makes sense. So yeah, I don't have great numbers on it.
Yeah.
I did feel like anytime we expanded though, when we added more cold callers and maybe expanded beyond like those targeted lists that I was talking about,
Mhm.
that we were just getting more leads, but the conversion rate was dropping.
I feel like I'm asking questions fast and you're slowing me down right now. I feel violated. I do want to sign something. I feel like
Only if you want to.
do you have time?
But it may not be right for you.
That's awesome. So 2 sales guys looking for more sales individuals. How
Yep.
tough is it to find a great salesperson?
Real tough.
Is it the toughest thing in the business?
Is it the toughest thing in the business?
He's slowing me
It's-
down now.
It's up there. It's definitely top 3.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
we have a friend, you may have seen him on social media, a guy named Naaman Taylor.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Naaman.
he's a real estate wholesaler. He did a hard pivot into roofing. And he said,
Really?
yeah.
Interesting.
So if you pay attention, you watch the stories and stuff.
Yeah.
And he says roofing is a lot like wholesaling, just add a few more zeros at the end. Right? Reason I'm going into this is because you're talking about it's really hard to find great salespeople.
Yeah.
And roofing, it might be like solar because I feel like they do mass hirings, right? So you do mass group interviews, mass hiring, and they like blanket
Yeah.
the territory with door knockers and stuff like that. So he just says that their game is entirely different, right? It's not just trying to narrow it down to a great salesperson. It's kind of hire, train, and release them to the world.
Yeah.
And then they don't do a whole lot on the front end with the marketing.
They generate their own leads.
Yeah, they just cover neighborhoods.
Wherever the storm is, they just go there.
They also follow storms. Yes. So I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of marketing.
I guess the issue, at least that comes to my mind when you're hiring someone for real estate acquisitions, is that you're generally giving them leads. So there's a big cost to having someone. And a lot of times people look at it as, oh, am I going to pay this person? The way I look at it is it's not that. It's how many dollars am I going to miss if this person screws up? And I have a budget. I tell people on their first day, I go, look, I've got a $15,000 budget for you. I know, that's to pay you for your first month. And I know I got about $11,000 in leads that basically by giving them to you, I'm throwing them in a paper shredder. I know that if I was on that appointment, I would have converted those into money. But I'm willing to do that, but only if you're willing to put in the same level, a high level of effort, because I'm spending much more money than you think. It's not just your salary. I'm very open with how much I'm spending on lead generation to them. I tell them, this is what a direct mail lead costs me. So if you don't convert that, I'm going to stop sending direct mail.
Okay. When you say that to these individuals, do they say, you know what, Mike, this is probably not for me? Have you ever had that?
No, because they would never have made it through my interview
You probably
process.
said it too slow and it made them want to do it.
Yeah.
They probably don't believe you either.
No, they believe me. Because I'll show them. I'll show them anything.
Right.
But they wouldn't have made it. So
Can they even wrap their head around the fact that like he's
How
going to
much
spend
it costs?
15? Because like to me, and like if you're coming into work just like an employee mindset, your thought process is like, well, they're just probably telling it to me so that I think that they're spending so much money.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think it's all how you run your interview process.
Because
Like
you're
I'm not
probably the top tier. You have probably some kind of a filtering system before they get to you to interview with you.
So we have to do a predictive index. Um, then I do a phone screen interview. So it's about 10 minutes. I'm off the phone with most people in like 90 seconds. I can just tell they don't have it. First part of it is can they slow me down?
Mm.
Really?
I go a million miles an hour when I call them on the phone for their first interview, and I pretend like I'm just trying to rush them off, and I see if they can slow me down. Can they keep me engaged?
I love that.
Not necessarily can they slow me down the way that I slowed you down, but can they keep my interest?
Yeah.
Because you can't keep me on the phone, and it's my job to call you and talk to you. Good luck keeping one of my prospects on the phone
Right.
who doesn't want to talk to you.
Right.
And then from there, I bring them in to what I call a pressure interview. I took this off in the book Sales Boss. And that interview I just put a lot of pressure on them. So let's say you come from, I don't know, selling cars.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be like, Dom, I had a guy work for me late last year, and this is true. He was selling 30 cars a month for BMW before he started working for me. People in the car industry think that's really good. I fired him in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Reason why is he kept getting friend zoned, and I found that seems to be a common trait of people coming from the car industry that can stop them from being successful here. What do you think about that?
Well, we had an employee that was fantastic.
Yeah.
We thought was fantastic. Hard worker, right? He was super interested, loved real estate, came in early, stayed late, worked weekends, couldn't convert. And we kept him for a long time.
Yeah.
Probably kept him way longer than we should have kept him.
Yep.
But when he started seeing the performance of other people, he just wound up leaving on his own. And that taught us a lesson as to where did we go wrong in that instance. And we were just hopeful.
Yeah.
Rather than being assertive and having guidelines, and if you don't make it by a certain point, unfortunately, you've got to go.
You got to go. Yeah.
And he wasn't.
And certain point is conversion.
Right.
Because that's the only thing that matters. It's not how many people you have that are hot leads, how many people that you filtered through. The only thing that matters is them signing on the dotted line.
Yep. But then kind of like the point of that question in the interview, right, is to see how you're going to react under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to get out of the interview. People will get defensive. If you get defensive to that question, I'm going to end the interview right there.
Because
my prospects are going to put pressure. The one I just said, I just challenge them on something. I point out something. I say, whatever, Sam, it looks like, I see you've, done some sales stuff before. Looks like you were mostly like an inside sales job. Means you're probably okay on the phones. I'm a little concerned though, when you walk into someone's home that you're going to freeze up. What do you think about that? If you do anything besides, if you do anything besides respond to it with kind of like grace, right? If you're not able to like roll off it or make a joke or just like keep me like engaged, if you get defensive, then I know you're not going to, like, that's exactly how you're going to be when you walk into a prospect.
If you start saying, oh, no, I'll be great at that appointment, and I don't think that's going to be a concern.
Or if you freeze up, that's...
Well, that might be okay. Depends on how he says it, right? If he's like, I don't think that, if some people will straight look at me like, I don't see that being a problem for me, and here's why. Good. But if you're like, I don't see that being a problem for me, that's a problem. Yeah.
But do you like it when they don't elaborate on their answer because you just maybe took 3, 4, 5 sentences and then ask them what they think about, and they think, well, I don't really think that's going to be an issue.
Okay.
Pause.
Why do you think that?
Because I'm good.
Well, what makes you say that? Prove it to me.
I mean, I've been at these jobs for years on my resume.
I interview a lot of people who've worked other places for a long time, but just because they worked there for a while doesn't mean they're the best.
That's true.
So why do you think you're the best?
I just have a really good proven track record. My managers love me.
Okay. So you were the #1 sales rep at all your past jobs?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. So this past role at whatever, how many units were you selling a month?
30.
30. Okay. And how many salespeople were on the team?
12.
Okay. Every single month for the past 2 years, you've been #1.
Every single month.
Okay. Well, then I'd want to hire you. Every month.
Yeah. The problem with that is I knew to try to answer shortly.
Yeah. So. But even if you...
I would have elaborated a long time.
You just lied your ass off.
Yeah. Well, good luck, Mike.
Well, I know Mike
Yeah.
doesn't check references, so
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But
now you have a shit ton of prospects going.
yeah,
You don't check references.
yeah. If that was your answer, then I'd probably be interested in hiring you. But
Yeah.
most people, the answer is like, well, I'm not always the number one rep. I was like,
Right.
but I thought you were the best. I don't
Yeah.
get it.
And the best sometimes.
Yeah. And then like it doesn't like I don't need someone who's always the best. I just need someone who's cool under pressure. Obviously, I'm not going to hire someone who's not top at their
Right.
previous place, but if there's 50 sales reps there, I don't expect them to have been number one every month. Would be
Mhm.
great,
Yeah.
but just
Probably
seeing how
cost
they
you
can
an arm and a
handle it.
leg too. If they were number one.
So
50 people
here's
every month.
a spicy question, and you can just say I don't want to answer it, but because I have an answer to that too as to what we would do. But the question is, how much should you pay to salespeople so that they feel satisfied and they don't want to leave you, and they don't want to go start their own business?
Mhm.
Is it a percentage? Is it a salary with a percentage? Or is it just a salary? And what are those ranges?
I believe in paying salespeople well, but I believe in paying well for performance. I give them a draw so that in the first few months, because it's real estate, because we flip a lot too, so it's not super fast turnover, that they can survive. But yeah, I mean, I want my guys to be making the high hundreds every year, like 190,
Okay.
but only if they perform. I
So
actually have a
how
minimum.
does it convert to math? What's the percentages?
What do I pay?
Yeah.
So we do anywhere from a $2,000 to $4,000 draw a
Monthly.
monthly. It's draw against commission. Then if they book the appointment, because both people do both roles. I don't have lead managers right now. So if they book it, they get 6%. And if they
Convert it.
sign it up, like get the contract signed because we run in person, they get 8% and they get one or both commissions. And then that number is on the net profit from the deal. So we define the net profit on a deal is basically the spread minus any direct costs. So if it's a flip, construction, holding costs, all that kind of stuff, minus marketing. And the reason I
So
take minus
it's 6% plus. I just want to clarify. It's 6% plus 8%, not
if
6 or
they
8.
get both.
If they get both. So
But
it's
if
a total of 14%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Average deal size 30,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
but we
whether it's a
flip lot.
flip or a wholesale, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I tell them it's my choice what I want to do.
Oh,
with
so
it.
the 14% is always up for grabs. One or the other are doing one part of that transaction.
Yeah, same person can
both parts.
do both, or I tell them, hey, if you got a full day tomorrow and you got, a hot prospect, you're better off booking that for someone else tomorrow because we know that someone's going out to that house
makes
tomorrow.
sense. I was gonna say, like, why would someone want to transfer that away?
Yep, exactly.
They're too
that
busy.
reason.
We
they
used to do
still-
the
Or they go
same
away for the
thing.
weekend.
We used to do the same
Right.
thing, and we would transfer it to somebody else, and you would either get like a percentage of the deal that they got, or you would get like a $500 fee. Hey, this is a good prospect. You're gonna make 3 or 4,000. Here's $500, or you give me $500, and you can take it now. And that was if they closed it. If they didn't close it, they obviously didn't.
This
get
is where?
anything. At the real estate firm we were at.
I gotcha.
So if like I had a booked weekend and I couldn't go, but this person was hot for this weekend, it's like, dude, Sam, I got somebody, they're hot, I can't make it. You're gonna give me 10%, you're gonna give me $500 if you close them. And then he would go run out and do it. And at least I felt like I got something, even though I didn't have to go
He
see
just booked me.
Because I can see,
Yeah.
like, if you have money-hungry sales individuals, you don't want them to be too proud to not want to give it up and mess up their volume of deals. They'll mess it up. But
Oh yeah.
that's a good alternative.
The other thing I would say on compensation, and it's what I put on my job posts, is I put a compensation range. So it's 105 to 190,000 a year inclusive of commission. But the important part I put that is I write 105,000 is the minimum. We know based on the amount of leads that we have that this is a very achievable number, and people who are not on track to make 105,000 for the year are terminated.
Oh, I love
And I
that.
put that in my interview emails and everything because I'm serious. If you're not on track to make 105, you're not
You're
working.
wasting my time.
You're
It's an expensive seat.
Yeah.
You're also wasting your own time.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you want to make 70 grand a year, there's a lot better and easier ways to make it than working in
Dude, go
sales.
to Bucky's.
I
Do they pay that much?
Pretty sure like counter people at Bucky's make $70.
Go ahead.
I have a question. So, you ever get an instance where a great lead comes into one of your sales individuals?
Mhm.
They have a stack day tomorrow, but this person wants to meet tomorrow. Would they substitute meet this individual tomorrow and take a pre-existing appointment and give that one over?
I let them run it however they want. I actually
Okay.
encourage them to double book themselves
Because people cancel.
because people cancel. So I say, especially, I'm like, double book yourself and then take the better one and move the least better one or give it to the other guy. But what we all find is as the time comes close, sometimes one of them will need to reschedule.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't you rather be left with one than none?
Right.
Sure.
So yeah, I give them the freedom to do that for sure.
How do you guys manage to receive live transfers when they're in the field on appointment?
Yeah, it's a challenge, right? I mean, the way I kind of have it set up is we pretty much do in office in the mornings because that's when the most live transfers come in.
Really? I'd
yeah.
assume it'd be afternoons.
Yeah, you would think so, but no,
That's
morning,
crazy.
9 a.m. to like really to 11.
Is it because the VAs are just working harder in the morning? Because over there it's like earlier in the night.
I mean, I don't know, but it's just the way it works. So yeah, they kind of run in office in the mornings, and then if they have appointments, they're out in the afternoons. But yeah, sometimes both of them are out of the office and we miss them.
What happens if they don't have appointments?
Then they're
Do
in the
they
office on the
stay?
phones.
They stay. That's okay. That's what I was
You
wondering.
better be getting appointments.
Well, do
Yeah.
you know? Do you know what appointments they're running for the day? Or do you do like a check-in at the end of the day or beginning?
Beginning of the day, we run what's called a stoplight report.
Okay.
Everyone stands up, reads off their numbers. I got this many contracts yesterday. I got this many appointments held. I booked this many appointments. I had this many conversations. I made this many calls.
How many people you have on the team?
Sales team or in general?
I mean, sales team.
Two,
Just
two acquisitions. People.
How do you manage to keep like a team environment when it's such a small team? It just feels almost like they can just talk to each other like without. Is it just the policies and the rules you enforce?
What do you mean?
Like you said, people stand up and they read their report. Or they say, here's how many contracts I got, here's how many leads I called, or so on and so forth.
Yeah,
It just seems so much more difficult when you have a small team versus a bigger team.
I mean, you just get people into what's called like a rhythm, right? I mean, they know that the way the morning meeting runs is you come in, you better enter your numbers before. You just stand up, read down the list, then we go on to the next section, which is reviewing an appointment you had yesterday, and then we go on to training. I mean, just kind of build that rhythm, and they know 8:30 a.m. on the dot that starts, and 9:10 it's over, and this is what we do. And when you get a new person, they walk in on the first day, and they're like, "Oh crap, that's how the meeting runs." All right, I'll be ready.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty easy. Yeah.
It's like, what is it called? Following the crowd?
Yeah.
Yeah. When it's done, they don't question it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. And it's for their own benefit too.
Right. Now, these two salespeople that you have, how long have they been with you?
Not that long. I have one probably going on 2.5 months, and the other one came in about 5 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you have success finding them?
It's tough, man. It's tough to find good
Is it
salespeople.
mostly just ads on like Indeed, or is it networking, or is it your social media?
First guy came from Indeed. The second guy was a referral from him. So I have a referral system set up where they can get paid on that as long as the person lasts 30 days, which means they've become profitable for me. Otherwise, it wouldn't still be there. And we were doing some outbound recruiting stuff. We've had some interviews from it, but it hasn't materialized
Panned
into
out.
anyone yet.
Outbound recruiting?
Yeah,
Can you elaborate?
absolutely. Yeah. I took some real estate tactics and I applied in the recruiting industry. So we go to
You
car
calling
deal.
them like foreclosures and asking if they want to.
No, they're probably not good at sales. No, we go on like car dealership websites, skip trace the people.
Oh wow.
We go on Indeed resume search. Instead of reaching out through Indeed, we just skip trace them, get their cell phone numbers.
LinkedIn, maybe?
LinkedIn a little bit too. Um, and then we just text them. And if you want to get a 60% response rate on a text message, just text a salesperson saying, "Hey Dom, are you still working at AI Speakly?"
Mm.
The answer is always they're always going to respond, and it's usually like, "Yes, how can I help you?" Right? I mean, hey, Sam, you still working at Mercedes?
Right.
Absolutely. Like they don't know.
You
what
want to
you're
quit?
asking for.
But that's
Yeah,
a
so
fairly new strategy. You have to see if it's going to work.
yeah, we've had some interviews from it, like
Okay.
in-person interviews, so people made it through the process, but no one I've really wanted to hire just yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a lot of work that goes into it.
Gotcha.
Compared,
I think it's awesome that you hired someone and their referral is also working out for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
super unique.
yeah.
Yeah, it just makes it really easy.
Well,
Yeah.
it's very similar with VAs. Weren't you doing the same tactics with VAs? Like,
Yeah.
we've brought in the first VA that we had, she had brought in some assistant, and then
They
there
have
was
one
two,
leg,
and then
yeah.
three, and so
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
So how long does it take one of your guys to get something under contract?
5 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the newest guy was 5 days. The other
Wow.
guy was 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So yeah, so they are profitable in 30.
So you can hack that by making them my third round interview. And again, I didn't come up with this interview. It's all from the book Sales Boss, right? But the third round interview is what I call the performance interview. So I give them a script. I give them some call recordings. I say, you're going to come in and I'm going to give you 2 days to prepare and you're going to sell to us. And then we're going to decide if we're going to hire you or not. So no one works harder when they have the job than when they want the job.
Mm-hmm.
So guys will study 5 hours for
Oh,
that interview.
wow.
They've told me after I've hired them. And then on day one, guess what? They already like kind of know the script.
Yeah.
Like not perfect and they still need work, but they're already like a week ahead. So I'm always trying to do stuff like that. Like how can I compress the time frame? Like how can I take that person who's costing me money and have them making me money in the shortest amount of time possible?
Yeah.
So,
That's good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
We're stealing that from you.
please
Yeah.
go for it.
So, it's funny. We didn't even really think about it because the company that we both came from, they make you do a 2-week mandatory like training. So you come into their office, you're there at 9, you watch everybody else participate in that meeting. You kind of sit there quiet, you have no idea what to say or do. And then afterwards, they're like, okay, go to your desk, go watch those trainings for the next 8 hours, and we'll see you again tomorrow. And you just sit there and watch. They don't let you do anything else. They quiz you while you're doing those trainings. So, like, once you get to a certain point, you have to go to the manager and they'll quiz you. And then they let you go to the next pieces. But then after all of that, then they make you role play before they even give you leads and let you hop on the phone. So it's like before even giving you an opportunity to mess up the marketing dollars, you've spent what 80 hours digesting all of their material and quizzing out to be able just to get $2,000 worth of leads.
Yep.
Can I ask you a question though? Will they take anyone?
They will, but here's the thing:
No.
like
Will
they'll take anybody for the most part, realistically, but
They'll cut you
they'll weed you out quick.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
if their expectation is
They'll hire
100 and you
fast
do
and fire
99,
Fire faster.
oh yeah, if they want you to do 100 calls and you do 99 that day, you might not come back the next day. They might just be like, "Hey, it just doesn't work."
Or you'll come back and your desk is cleared out.
Yeah,
There you
because
go.
like we did the 80 hours in like 3 days.
Like
And
that
they're
is-
like, well,
They
they're like,
take you off payroll. Just
80 hours in 3 days. That doesn't add up.
oh yeah, I mean, like we're just
Where's my
clicking
red
through it,
stick
going. We're like, I'm the
Yeah.
sales guy. I get it. I'm just clicking through
Oh, okay,
it,
okay.
and then
You weren't
they're
actually.
just-
I was gonna say,
No,
teach
no,
me how to
no.
do 80 hours in 70,
No,
whatever.
But like a
Let me
lot of
know.
it is, like they got like a 3-hour
It's a couple
podcast
hours.
on there, like a sales podcast, and it's like, dude, I'm not watching this 3-hour
Yeah.
podcast. I went through it. Quiz me now. I already know you did the day one. Give me the quiz. Let me take day three's quiz, and let me just keep pushing through. And then they're like, oh shit, this guy actually has what it takes. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for the people who just want to get through. They understand it. They want you to test them.
Yeah.
They like that.
Yeah.
And then once they see that, they're like, look, here's some leads. You can do 4 hours of training today, and then you can have a little bit of leads on the side. And you see other people are like, why is that guy getting leads?
Yeah.
You know, like how did he bypass that?
Now, Dom had a very interesting approach. He would, like your third round of interviews, I guess, that you were doing, what would you do? 'Cause he would
We
give
did
him a
2
script
interviews.
and he would give him a script and tell him to go home, but you were doing
Yeah.
something else.
So we would do a group interview on Zoom. right?
On Zoom,
We would
okay.
talk, yeah, we would talk to anywhere from 4 to up to 20 people at the same time. We would group interview and we would see in that group interview who are the highlights, who do we really like. Could be 1, could be 4.
Is this first round interview?
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, how to really get to the real interview. Yeah, so this is
Okay.
kind of like a first round
Like a
interview.
phone, like a screen.
Yeah. And then we would set real interviews for them to come in. And then we
Mhm.
would spend like at least an hour. We had a questionnaire. It was all points scored. And we would go through the questionnaire and then they would score well or not well or whatever the case is. And if there's a combination of good on the first interview, over 90% on the second interview, and we did have to like them and believe in them,
Yeah.
then we would put them on the dialer
Yeah.
Immediately.
live on the
I've done
second
that.
interview.
But
Yeah.
what's the question, that final question that you asked?
Tell us the final.
This is my favorite question.
I'll talk
interview
about
question.
the dialer and then I'll talk about the interview question. That interview
Okay.
question, you kind of sound like a little bit of a scumbag, but it's interesting to see how they react. But I would say when I'm finished with the interview, I say, "Are you up for a challenge?"
Everyone says yes.
And they say yes. I say, "Okay, I'm gonna go get a script. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to study it. I'm gonna bring Pete in with a headset and a laptop, and I'm gonna make you dial and talk to people and see if they're interested in selling their homes and get them to transfer it over to my sales guys."
Cold calls or either
Cold calls.
cold calls.
It was cold
Okay.
calls. Yep, it was just faster and ready to go.
Yeah,
Always
yeah.
running. And then there had people that did well that I may have hired that wasn't ready for it.
They said no, they wouldn't do
They
it.
said no.
Yeah.
So not often, but maybe 10% of the interview.
Some people you said told you, I didn't think it was going to be like this.
And then some people during the process or after it also
Yeah.
would say that it's not really for them, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I think you guys are talking about a different question.
Yeah.
So another question
That's
that I
the
would
scumbag
ask
question.
this is the scumbag question. Another question that I would ask during the interview process is, okay, you're on the phone with a potential seller and she's in pre-foreclosure. She's going to lose her house in the next 2 weeks, right? You come to an agreement that makes sense for you, makes sense for her. She's going to close. You find an investor, whatever you're going to close, right? Then I come to you and I ask you, we're making $20,000 on the deal. She's taking home $25,000 in equity because we know her mortgage, whatever the case may be. I ask you to give her a call and justify reasons why we need a reduction. What are you going to do? How would you feel about that?
Interesting.
Yeah. And then there's some people that just wouldn't do it.
Sure.
And then unfortunately, I can't pick those people.
Yeah.
Because we would renegotiate every single deal.
Yeah. Well, if it doesn't fit within your model.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that sounds a little shitty. I mean, I went to a training one time. I kind of indirectly had adopted this way of looking at it as to where like there are some people who are they're screwing up their finances in their lives and they have this equity and this person felt like they're going to gain that equity and they're going to just ruin it just like they've ruined everything else.
It's like people
if we can capture that equity and make the lives of our teams better and our lives better and our families, that was their goal. So I tell that story. I don't know if I've quite adopted that or not, but it is in the back of my head.
Sure.
We had one guy who said, well, that 25 grand's for the company now. That's the company's money. And somebody else who's just, I don't know, I think 20 grand's good enough for the deal, don't you? And it's like, it definitely gives you an insight how they're going to treat those opportunities when
Sure.
Because we had somebody who we thought was excellent at acquisitions, and every time he came back, it was a sob story. And we're like, dude, we understand the sob story, but you're making it so the numbers are so tight that it doesn't work. And I guarantee you, if either one of us get on the phone with that person, we can make it make sense and still get them what they need to keep
I'm
it
now
going.
curious which one of them you're talking about.
Well, now he's in Dispo.
Okay.
So
I tell my sales if my sales guys ever come with something like that.
Oh, Bradley.
I'm kidding.
Bradley is a phenomenal sales guy. He's our Dispo guy. He knows this. He'll tell you it straight up.
About it, all right.
He will tell you straight
You
up.
weren't really supposed to name drop.
He can bleep it. I feel bad
How
for
is he
these
gonna
people.
bleep it in live?
But what does he do instead? He takes their sob story and wants to give them all the money, but then when he's wholesaling it, he's ripping investors' heads off sometimes. So it's like, dude, you're taking money out of that guy's mouth. Why, like, what's the difference? And he just has a hard time finding the middle ground there.
He'd
But he
rather
does a
rip off
phenomenal job
investors
for
than
us. Right. Well, he feels like it's they have the skill set and ability to make decisions on their own, and that that's their
Yeah.
decision to pay that price versus not her
Mike
decision
actually
to sell
has
that
a
price.
real life example. So one time
Oh
you
yeah.
had a firehouse
Oh.
that we helped you dispo that
Yeah.
fell
Wow.
apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how much did you lock up that house for?
$2,000.
Two
Yeah.
It was
grand.
burnt to a crisp in the thing.
And they were still living there, dude.
No, they were not.
I swear to
There
you.
were squatters there.
No. So I
They
walked
were,
in
they
the
were not.
house, and there was an 8-year-old kid sitting on the couch, and the dad's just standing there. And I'm like,
Those are squatters, dude. That's not the lady who sold the fishing.
like, well, that was like supposed to be the brother or something or whatever. And I'm like,
allegedly,
bro,
I'm sure.
I'm like, how do you have this kid in
Mike
here?
picked up a house for
$2,000.
$2,000.
Yeah.
And Bradley went and sold it to his Colombians for $45,000.
Even you were like, dude, how did you
I
guys
was
do
kind of like, damn, dude, good for you guys.
Yeah,
I think I sold it to you guys for
Unbelievable.
20 or
Yeah,
something. I
for
don't know.
20.
He's like, I can't believe you are charging so much.
Yeah.
And
I didn't say it like that. I said good on you.
You did. You did.
I
You
wasn't
said
like
good on
trying
you.
to. I wasn't trying to count your money. I was saying
You were
that's
just like,
amazing, man.
damn, I can't believe that. But that is also where we got one of our favorite sayings from too. Like, you don't sue poor people. Like, it
Yes.
just doesn't make sense.
Don't
Once
sue
you
poor people.
said that,
Yeah.
I think I've said that probably 20 times since then.
So
Yeah.
I have a comment about the whole renegotiation thing, right? Because, you know, part of like there's times where you have to renegotiate
Sure.
to make a deal work, right? So in that instance, whether they're going to electively do it to make the spread bigger or have to do it to make a deal, do you think that that affects their mindset as far as like if you're not willing to do it to make the bigger spread here, are you going to perform the same way when we need to do it?
I'm not a big fan of renegotiating personally.
Sure.
So, and
so you'd have
everyone
failed
can
his
run.
interview.
I would have failed his I would have failed his interview.
Yeah.
I would have. My viewpoint of it, and it's a little different when you're going out to see the house
Mm-hmm.
versus when you get sold a load of crap on the phone and it's not true, and you show up, you're like, okay, like this isn't what we're
Sure.
talking about. My goal has always been to just get it at a price that I will definitely buy it at when I get there.
Yep.
And I've actually only like bought 80 houses myself. I've only ever had to renegotiate one, and it was a mobile home that turned out had been moved.
That did what?
Turned out had been moved, and the sellers didn't know that either because they bought on seller finance. So for people who don't know, like a mobile home, if it's moved again after it's placed, cannot be financed.
Yep.
And I was going to flip it. It was going to be a great flip. So that didn't make sense anymore.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think it can
How
affect.
did you find that out?
We call the county once we have it under
That's part of
contract.
your due diligence.
Due diligence process, yeah, and say, hey, was it new or used when it was placed? Sometimes they don't know if it's from too long ago, but most counties around here after 1989, they'll be able to tell you if it was new or used when it was put in.
Sure.
Or you can look at the deeds, see if the land was vacant.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it was vacant in 1985 and you have a 1985 mobile home on it, and the next deed is 1995, right? And it has the home on it, then you kind of like, wait a second,
Yep.
something's off here.
Sure.
Looking through permits sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I think that I tell my guys I'd rather you get it for just the price up front that we're going to pay for it. Have I made my guys renegotiate deals? Yes, because they've screwed up,
Sure.
and I just tell them you got to go own it. Just tell them we screwed up, and tell them here's where we need to be, and that's it.
Try to make it work.
Try to make it work because I'm not closing on it at that. I close on a lot of stuff, so I'm not closing on it at that price.
Sure. Well, let me ask you this in line with all of this. Do you think so the elective renegotiation and the one that's required,
Mhm.
two optional renegotiations. Do you think a salesperson's mindset is more apt to make the one that needs to be required to make it a deal work rather than the elective one? And why?
Of course, because it needs to happen.
Okay.
If you have to make it happen, you have to make it happen.
Their backs against the
You're
core.
gonna try
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah, you're gonna try hard. You're gonna be, or maybe you're just gonna be more convincing. You're like, look, I'm really gonna I have to cancel this if we can't do it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not making this up to try to make more profit. You probably think I'm trying to do this just
But
to
you don't
squeeze
want
more
to say
money.
then fine, cancel. You don't want them to say that, right? So they
Yeah.
have to make the seller avoid canceling.
Yeah, there's a approach to
line.
it,
Sure, sure.
and you kind of own it and say, look, I don't want to cancel on you,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of put the ball back in their court.
So how can you convince this individual to treat the elective renegotiation as if it's required?
As if
I'm
it's
sure
their
I
fault.
could convince them to, but in my opinion, I wouldn't want to because I don't really believe
Too
in
much
it. I
moral
don't
fiber.
personally believe in the elective renegotiation. I don't hate on anyone else's business strategy,
Sure.
but for me,
He's telling you he's not a scumbag. What do you want?
I didn't say that. I also want to give them the ability because like I feel like sometimes if you make them do the elective renegotiation all the time, you might reduce their ability to get it for cheaper up front. Because I'll tell my guys to tell people,
point.
hey, look, like I don't want to tell you I can do that price because there's a good chance that if I tell you
can't.
that, I'm gonna have to come back to you in 2 weeks and tell you I can't do it anymore. And I don't want to be in that position and I don't want to do that to you. Here's the price I can pay.
And
I
most
think it's-
homeowners want that price when they're sitting there trying to make that decision. They're usually saying, "You're not going to come back to me, right? I'm not going to get any extra fees at closing, right?" And you're like, "Yeah, that's why I'm saying I need this price."
I'll just like I tell my guys, say we have a seller who's shopping. They tell me they want to get a couple offers, right?
Yeah,
So you say that to me.
yeah, I'm looking for a couple offers.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But in all my years of doing this, not one time have I been the highest offer.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, so then I got to find the highest offer, right?
Well, I guess if you wanted the highest offer, though, I don't think you should sell to any investor.
That makes sense.
Do you think you should just like do those repairs you were saying you didn't want to do and put it up with a realtor instead? And maybe 4, 5, 6 months later, you'll get the highest offer?
Yeah, but I don't have 4, 5, 6 months. I have 60 days, and I got to be in Tuscaloosa.
Right. Yeah, because you said your
Gotta
kids are
move,
out there.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you, usually when I tell people that, most people ask me, how have I bought any houses if I'm not never the highest offer?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess I just need that quick sale.
Yeah.
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 Can you get closer to the highest offer?
I mean, I don't know. What's the highest offer?
Open Door offered me 10 grand more.
Yeah. But I thought you wanted a quick sale.
Well, they said 4 weeks.
Right.
It fits still, just
And
not as quick
they've
as I'd
come
like.
over, they've done their inspection, all that
Well,
already.
this was just online.
Oh.
Yeah.
But like
But I heard they're suckers. I heard they lost 300 million last year, so I figured I'd give it a shot.
they definitely are suckers. I wouldn't But I guess if Open Door had you in contract for 3, 4 weeks and then came back to you and said, we need a price reduction of 30,000
Oh, I'd be
because of all these things, how would that affect
I'd
it?
be devastated.
Yeah. So I guess what's more important to you? Is it getting the highest number on a piece of paper that might change later, or is it working with someone who's going to give you a offer that they're going to stand behind and you're going to be able to move to Tuscaloosa to be close to your kids, definitely within 60 days?
Mm. Do I get paid now?
No, we need to make sure you
Ah.
actually have the legal
Title?
right to sell the house, you know?
Okay.
I mean, I believe that
Yeah.
you do, but it's not up to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be worth it for me to take a look at that.
Take a look at
At your offer, at least. I mean, I
Oh.
know it might not be the highest, but maybe you give me the speed that I need.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely give you the speed that you need. But what else is so see where I'm going with
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. You're looking for what's important.
But usually what most people say is, when I tell them that other people have always asked how I buy any houses, I say, well, I was curious myself. So I went back and I called the last 10 people at the beginning of this year I bought houses from, and I asked them, why did you sell me your house even though I wasn't the highest offer?
Yeah.
What do you think they said?
They felt like they could trust you.
It's exactly what they said.
Mm.
But it sounds like working with someone you can trust is not that important to you.
Mm.
course it is, because that's what they just said.
Right.
By the way, whatever they say, that's
It's-
exactly what the other people say.
Exactly.
Whether they say
Great
quick,
shit on
whether
the
they
test.
said no repair, whatever they said, that's
Yeah.
exactly what everyone else said. And that's how
Yeah.
you identify what's important to them, because it's never price.
No,
If
it's
it's-
always a complaint.
If it's price, I'll give you $1 million now. Give me a 150-year loan, 0% interest, and I'll pay you in year 50.
How many of those have we said to people and they're like, yeah, go F yourself. And you're like, well,
Yeah, it's not
I was willing to do it if you were
Well, when
willing to
people
make it
give me a
happen.
high number, like it's a $250,000 house, and they're asking 450, I'm like, why wouldn't you just ask for $1 million?
There you go.
Just go for you're gonna go for 450, go for $1 million.
Why
Yeah.
not?
And then sometimes they're, well, that would be ridiculous.
100 over, not 800.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
But, like, you're gonna go for 450, go for 50.
Yeah.
You know,
I gotcha.
Lewis
You guys
got the
want to do
best
one more role play? You versus,
Whatever.
because that was
Yeah.
that,
I like
well, that was a I'll call you back or a hang up role play. I'd like to see a good one.
Let's do it.
But you can't be too challenging because people are very challenging, but people do want to talk to you. I feel like for the most part, like in the leads that I see come through, I'll see a lot of people if they have something going on, they have real reason to sell their house. You know the full story. I mean, what's this lady's telling us that she has one leg and her boyfriend beats her every day, and we're like, man, we haven't even talked. This isn't even 30 seconds into the conversation. And we know her full life story. And we're like, damn. But then you talk to other people and they're like, yeah, my house has been listed for 60 days. I haven't gotten offers. It's worth 360. I'll do for 355 right now, cash. And you're like, dude, no. We've been on the phone for 20 seconds. I
Yeah.
don't even want to talk to you anymore. I know that this is a waste of my time.
I would
Mhm.
say though that, like, yes, there's like the layups and the maybe not layups, but like the ones who give it all up. Maybe that's 60%. But like I'd say the money is really in like uncovering the other 40,
Right.
which are the people who pretend that they don't care either way, but then a few minutes in the call, you
Yeah. Then you
uncover
start to
that,
find it.
you know, whatever, right? I mean, a lot of times I get a lot of calls now from people who are, they've had it up for the realtor for like 80 days.
Yeah.
And I just say, what were you hoping I could do differently than your realtor's doing for you? They're like,
Right.
I need to sell the place. I'm hoping you could actually buy it. I'm like, but I'm going to be way less. It's like, they're like, don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they care to an extent, but they're
Right.
like, like I need to do something, and I understand that's what I'm getting myself into because I like, what's more important?
Right.
Depends on what their goal is.
Yeah. And they usually want out at that point.
Yeah.
It's just uncovering, which I think is why we've recently switched from doing a lot of cash deals to sub 2 deals
Hmm.
because the cash doesn't work for them. But if you can do the sub 2 and organize it appropriately, they still get some sort of money without having to come to the table like some of these cash deals.
Because they owe too much on their mortgage.
Yeah, they're
typically.
usually like so tight.
Yeah.
With people who bought houses in the last couple of years, it's usually so tight. It's like, what am I going to give you, $4,000? Or you're going to come to the table with a couple grand to close. Like most people aren't going to be up for that. But if it's like, hey, I can give you 10 and you can walk away,
Yeah.
you just got to give me 10 years on your mortgage. They're like, all right, it's better than nothing. I'm looking
Or
at
30
breaking
years.
even.
Are they able to
Or
buy
30.
like another house? So then doesn't it take
Yeah.
a year, right?
Well,
usually?
it's basically like
Let's
rental
role
income.
play it.
Yeah,
Let's role play it.
he's
Sure.
been knocking it out with that.
I'll be the buyer. You'll be
Mhm.
the seller,
Alright.
and you have a mortgage that's too high.
Okay, so say your cash offer is 130, my mortgage is 145.
Sure, or even
Yeah.
150.
150.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's start from the very beginning. So say ring
Very-
ring and we start.
Okay. Wow, it's gonna be long. All right, ring ring.
Hey, this is Sam. Is this Mike?
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, Mike. I got an inquiry on my website that you filled out looking to sell that property on 123 Apple Street.
Well, I didn't say I was looking to sell it. I was just maybe interested in what you guys could offer.
Totally, man. I'd like to make you an offer, probably a cash offer. See if I could be of any help. How long have you been thinking of selling this property?
The last couple weeks, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay. Are you guys moving somewhere?
Yeah, we're thinking about moving back up north. Yeah.
Gotcha. So how long have you owned this house?
7 years. Yeah.
Okay. So you bought it 7 years ago,
Yeah.
and now you're basically moving out.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you, what's the time frame that you're trying to make this move within?
It's got a job opportunity, so it's got to be pretty quick. Maybe 2 months at the most.
2 months at the most?
Yeah.
And wherever you're moving, you already have a place secured over there?
We're just gonna rent, so I think that won't be too much of an issue. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just
Okay.
need to, I can't pay for both at once, though, you know.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. So do you have a mortgage on this property?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So if you got the mortgage 7 years ago, I'm assuming a good chunk of it is already paid off, huh?
Would have been.
Well, what happened?
Well, I refinanced it, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got a lower rate at least?
I did get a lower rate, but I also took out some money and, you know, went to Vegas and did some stupid shit, you know.
Hmm. How many days did it take you to blow the money?
Oh, just about a week, you know.
Really?
Like blackjack, you know.
Oh my God, man.
And that's why I'm hoping to sell it now. I'm thinking about getting a pro
I'm a
blackjack.
betting man myself, man. I could totally relate. Yeah. So, okay, so you got to sell this within about 2 months. Um, the rentals, have you already started looking into them over there?
Just on Zillow, but seems like there's plenty. So,
You're not worried about finding one?
no, I don't think so. Yeah.
I gotcha. Is there anybody else that needs to help you make a decision on actually getting this done and signed?
No? No.
Okay. So you're the only person that
Yeah, just me. Just, you know, really good job opportunity.
I gotcha. I'm really curious before I can get into the numbers. Have you considered listing the property with a realtor?
Yeah, I talked to one, but they said, you know, they're thinking in this market it'd be more like 4 months.
Mm,
And that just, I told them that just wouldn't work.
why would they say that, man?
Well, apparently that's what they say. It's kind of taken on average. So, I mean, they said maybe it could be a little less, but I can't have it be longer than 2. I don't want to miss this job opportunity.
I gotcha. The job is important, of course.
Well, I'm going to be making almost double, so
Wow.
doesn't seem, you know,
Well, hopefully you don't blow it all on blackjack.
hopefully not.
Man.
Probably will, but yeah.
Okay. Now, the realtors that you have spoken to, did they give you any kind of ideas on pricing?
They said they think I could sell it for 199.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the net number that you'd walk away with after you sell it?
No, they said that's minus about 6% for there. So I guess whatever that math equals, 180 something.
I gotcha. And the house is in tip-top shape. It doesn't need any repairs or anything like that?
I mean, it's not like brand new, but I mean, you could definitely move in with a family. I mean, you know, everything's kind of from like early 2000s, so you know,
Okay.
it's decent, but I'm not
It's a
gonna.
little dated, but it's in good shape overall.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you wouldn't have to do anything. You might want to.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Do you think the realtors would ask you to do any repairs before you list it on the market?
They said I could paint it or whatever, but you know, it's not even as much that. I mean, they said they were like really confident they could get me the 199, but in
Mhm.
4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Well, I do want to tell you, I'm also a licensed realtor, but I don't want to list your house. If we come to some kind of an agreement, I'd want to buy it from you. I'd
Okay.
want to be a buyer. I did do some retail real estate back in the day. I've done probably close to 100 retail transactions. I do want to caution you a little bit, whether we end up doing business together or not. A lot of realtors will come in and try to buy your business. And what that means is that give you a number that you want to hear just so you could list with them,
Mm,
put it on the market for about 3 months, and then in 3 months come back to you and say, well, the market's softened and we need to do a $25,000 price reduction.
sure.
So I do want you to be cautious of that. Whether you end up selling to me or not is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, I do have a couple of options that I'd like to present to you. It seems like it's a pretty decent house. I probably would be interested. We are buying a lot of properties right now, but I think we have 1 or 2 left that we were targeting to buy this month.
Okay.
Now, before I could get you a number, because I'd like to give you a net number, Mike. I don't want to give you a number that, you know, is just a gross and then you're wondering around as to how much you're going to walk away with. So in order for me to do that, I need to know how much is left on the mortgage that I need to pay off.
It's about 150,000, maybe like plus or minus $500.
Okay. And currently, how much are you paying on your mortgage?
It's $790 a month with
That's with
insurance,
taxes and insurance?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got a really good rate on it.
It's pretty low. Yeah.
It's like under 3?
or something like that. Yeah,
Wow.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So I have, while we were talking, Mike, I've actually been looking at the market and what things are selling for.
Hmm.
I don't know exactly which realtor you had spoken with, but I do have a very strong feeling that they were just trying to buy your business. Now, it's just my opinion. You don't have to trust me, and you shouldn't probably trust me because I'm an investor at the end of the day. So that being said, I do see strong data. Like I see houses on Pineapple Street and Orange Street are all very similar square footage and bed and bath count, and they're all selling close to 165, 175. Now, that's just data. Again, I only go off of data, and maybe your realtors have some magic buyers. I don't know that. Okay. For me to be able to buy this property, because I have to tie up all the cash and I have to make this happen quick for you, I could make it happen in 60 days. I could make it happen in 45 days and maybe even let you stay in the house for 15 days if that's what you need. But I'm not even going to be close to where your mortgage is at. So I might not be able to pay it off. Are you going to be okay to bring money to the closing table?
No, I can't do that. I mean, it's not going to work.
Okay. So I typically, when I encounter houses like this and it's a property where I can't even pay off the mortgage, I used to, just end the conversation right here. But probably about a year ago, I had a sit down with my boss and I was just trying to figure out what could I do with people that have decent enough houses that don't need a lot of repairs, and we just can't pay off their mortgage because our cash offer is lower. And I've pulled his chains a lot. He kept telling me, no, it's impossible. But we've actually figured out a way how we could make this work for you while it's still a little worthwhile for us. And the way we do it is, instead of us paying off your mortgage because we have a high cost of capital to pay off your mortgage, we would simply take it over and then get you money on top of what your mortgage is at close of escrow. Is that something you might consider?
Yeah, I guess. But then, like, what if you guys don't pay my mortgage?
That's a great question, Mike. So the biggest protection for you in this transaction would be the house itself. So if we give you money for the house and then we take over your mortgage and we default, and by the way, all of this would have to be in the paperwork because you have to feel confident and comfortable with this, you would just get the house back and keep all the money we've given you. And all the payments we've made along the way, let's say we've owned the house for a year and all of a sudden I get hit by a bus and I no longer exist, even though we have a solution for that situation too, but just in case, you just get the house back and all the payments we've made within that 12 months, you get to keep all that equity in the property as well.
Improvements.
So you'd be protected not just by our award or the contract, but by the property itself.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, if that's the case.
Now,
I
here's an
definitely will do.
important question I have for you, Mike. How much money do you need to walk away from this asset and still have somewhat of a smile on your face when everything's said and done?
I would say like 20,000.
Okay. Now, remember, I am an investor, and for me to, because if I pay you 20,000, that means on top of the 150, I'm adding another 20, and I have to add another 10 to 15 because I have to pay closing costs. If I also take on your closing costs, so you just come out with a net number, is 20 the best you could do?
Maybe like 16, 17.
Okay. Let me do this. I'm going to put you on hold. My business partner is the one that calls the final shot. I want to run this by him and see if I can get you very close to that 16, 17 that you're asking.
Okay.
And then we could proceed from there. Before I do that, is there anything at all that would stop you from doing this transaction?
Just the money. I mean, like if you couldn't do
The 16 or
if you couldn't do
17?
16, 17, then I need something. So
Okay. So I'd put you on hold. I'd wait another 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd come back. Mike, I have good news and I have bad news.
okay.
The good news is we do want to buy your house. The bad news is I wasn't able to get the full 16 that you want, but I'm super close. We only need to be at 14.5, so it's only a $1,500 reduction, but we take care of everything on this transaction. On top of that, we will close this house in 45 days and we'd give you a 15-day post-occupancy in the property so that you can take the money and then secure your rental afterwards.
Okay. Well, I guess it's something to think about.
Okay. Is it just the money?
Yeah, I mean, I really
Because if we're just
16.
$1,500 apart, I mean, should I just take you out on a steak dinner?
Where are we going?
It seems like Vegas.
Well, if you're taking me to Vegas, that's more than a $1,500 expense.
I mean, I'm just covering the steak dinner. The blackjack's on you.
You think you guys could do 15,500?
Let me see what I can do. I go back, come back. I give you the 15.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Like it.
Yeah. That was good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the one losing money in blackjack. So.
What do you do?
Good job. Did he
Yeah.
pass the interview, Mike?
Yeah, I'd pass him.
Yeah.
Hey.
There we go.
Can you critique one or two things that he might have missed?
I would have gone deeper onto what I'm going to lose by not doing it in 60 days. Because I told you, I was kind of dropping a hint that I'm going to double my salary.
Yeah.
So I would have been like, I mean, double. I mean, how much more money is that? Because then at the end, you could have been like, no, I get it. I know we're a little bit apart, but I mean, do you think, I mean, you're going to make $30,000 more just by moving upstate. Do you think it's worth risking losing that $30,000 over just 1,500?
I like that a lot.
And then they could be like, no, right? It's like, so like pulling out more like the emotional, first of all, the emotional reason behind moving up there, but also, you know, what's it going to cost him if he doesn't do the deal?
Right.
Because a lot of times people, the fear of missing out is higher than like people will take more to avoid a loss than they will to make a gain.
Right.
So you just kind of flip it. He's going to lose 30 grand if he
Right.
doesn't make the move in 60 days. What would happen if you don't make it up there in 60 days? Would the company like wait for you? And if he's like, well, no, be like, well, if that happened, what would you do then? It's like, oh, I can't have that happen. This is going to change my
Right.
life, my family. Kind of getting him to playing that story out more. Like, how would that change your family's life? Now he's going to be less apt to
Right.
negotiate against you because you built the gap more.
Right.
That was my only piece of feedback.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's a great piece.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Really good. Well,
That's
Mike,
good.
we've been here over an hour. It's
Yeah.
been really, really good stuff.
I'm good at
appreciate you
slowing
making-
things down. So.
Excellent. Excellent. So anyone, do you mind sharing your contact information if anyone wants to reach out to you for help or someone wants
Yeah.
to join the
Okay.
team?
Yeah, no, that's fine. If anyone wants to reach out to me, send me a DM on Instagram. It's Mike_McKay, MCKAY. I am looking for salespeople. So like I kind of said in this conversation, you don't need to know about real estate at all. If you're good at sales, hit me up. If you're not good at sales, just save yourself some time.
Don't hit me up.
You can hit me up, but don't hit me up about a sales show.
Oh, make money that way.
I'll sell my house. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, Mike. Well, thanks for joining us,
Yeah.
man. We appreciate it, man. We'll have to get some follow up maybe by the end of the year. Have you back?
Yeah. Sounds like fun.
Awesome, man.
Okay.
Sweet.
Appreciate
All right,
having
guys.
you, bro.
Yep.
Like your podcast.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I also have a podcast, the Real Estate Game Changer Show. It's on
It's a complete
everywhere
changer.
podcasts are. So
Yeah. They're in a lot of places these days.
a lot of places.
A lot of places. Go look at a lot of places, guys. And guys, once again, every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, coming live at you guys. It's the All Leads Suck podcast on Facebook, and also go to youtube.com/All Leads Suck. Guys, I'm Dominic Felix,
Luis Rodriguez.
This was Sam, and we had Mike McKay today.
and we have Mike
Woo.
McKay, and we appreciate you guys. Enjoy.
All leads fuck.
Jesus.
Wait, what? Did I